Good morning, gentlemen. Before your first sip today, answer me this one quick question. Do you really know what your morning drink is doing to circulation down there? Every morning, I meet men over 50 who reach for the usual without thinking, assuming the ritual is harmless. But one simple choice at the sink can either wake up the small blood vessels in your pelvis and restore warmth and function, or it can tighten them and steal your energy and confidence. I am Dr. Daniel Carter, urologist with nearly 2 decades working directly with men who want to feel alive again. In the next 20 minutes, I will show you a morning drink you can make in your kitchen that supports nitric oxide production, reduces inflammation, and improves pelvic blood flow, backed by studies from major institutions. Stick with me and you will leave with recipes, a 30-day plan, and real stories from men who tried this and changed their mornings. If you are new here, subscribe and tell me in the comments what you drink first thing in the morning. Now breathe in, set down that cup for a moment, and listen. The first sip can change your day and your confidence. To understand why one drink matters, you need a clear, simple picture of what happens inside your vessels as you age. The lining of every artery, the endothelium, makes a gas called nitric oxide that tells vessels to relax and let blood flow freely. As men get older, the capacity to produce nitric oxide falls, partly because of chronic low-grade inflammation and stiffening of the arteries. When nitric oxide is low, the tiny vessels that feed the penis and pelvic tissues constrict, leading to colder feet, less morning firmness, and lower stamina. Foods rich in dietary nitrates, like beetroot, foods with antioxidants, like pomegranate, and compounds found in green tea and cocoa can support that nitric oxide pathway. Studies published in journals such as Hypertension and reports from research groups at Harvard show that dietary nitrates can lower arterial stiffness and improve endothelial function in older adults. Think of it like oil in a rusty hinge. A small, targeted dose restores movement. If you ignore this mechanism and keep stimulating stress hormones with high sugar drinks or caffeine in a fasting state, you will keep sending signals that tighten vessels rather than open them. Understanding the biology makes the difference between guessing and choosing a drink that helps. Let me tell you about 2 men who illustrate this clearly. Mark walked into my clinic saying he felt like his body had turned down a thermostat. He described hands that warmed by noon, but mornings that felt cold and flat, and a fading of desire he blamed on aging. I remember the smell of coffee when he sat down, dark and acrid, steam fogging the window behind him. In a direct exchange, we spoke openly. He said, "I am tired of feeling old." I asked what you drink first. He said coffee, black, fast. I asked, "Do you ever have vegetables in the morning?" He laughed and said, "Only when I forget to stop for a donut." We went through tests, listened to his heart and pulses, checked blood pressure, and I suggested one small swap, a nitrate-rich beetroot drink to start 4 mornings a week. A month later, he returned, cheeks rosier, voice firmer, and he said something I heard often from patients I treat. "Doctor, I did not expect this." The backstory to why I care starts in my childhood and follows me into the clinic. I grew up watching my grandfather, a proud craftsman, slow down not from one big illness, but from little losses of energy and pride. I promised then to learn how to spot small, reversible causes of aging. As a young doctor, I saw men like Louis, Anthony, and Tom who had quiet defeats in the bedroom and in daily life. That promise became the lens for my practice. My training in urology and vascular physiology led me to study dietary strategies that support nitric oxide safely, especially for men over 50. I keep learning, reading trials from PNAS and reviews from cardiology societies, and I bring those findings to the bedside in practical, kitchen-friendly ways. If you are watching and you have stayed this far, you probably care about how you feel each morning. I know change is hard and habits run deep, so I want you to do 2 things right now. First, write in the comments one word that says what you drink first in the morning: coffee, water, juice, or nothing. Second, if you have ever swapped one morning drink for another and noticed a difference, write 2 short lines about what changed. I read many of these comments, and they help shape future videos and answers I give. Your single word helps other men see patterns, and your short story gives practical signals to the community. This channel exists to share small, evidence-based steps that fit into a busy life. If you are new, consider subscribing so you do not miss the 30-day protocol I describe later. Thank you for sharing, and remember, your comment may encourage another man to try one simple swap that brings back warmth, energy, and confidence. Now, let us walk through the drinks that actually make a physiological difference, starting with the one I recommend as the easiest switch. The first of the trio I want to highlight is beetroot. When prepared correctly, beetroot supplies dietary nitrates, which your body converts into nitrite and then into nitric oxide, especially when mouth bacteria help that conversion. Imagine the bright magenta juice sliding down your throat, earthy and slightly sweet, leaving a faint mineral tang on your tongue. A randomized trial showed improved blood flow and lower stiffness after acute beetroot supplementation in older adults. To make it at home, you need 1 medium roasted beet, a half cup of water, a squeeze of lemon, and a pinch of sea salt. Blend and strain if you prefer smooth texture. Drink it slowly, feel the cool liquid coat your tongue, and breathe in the rooty aroma. In my clinic, George tried this after a long run of mornings spent on sugary smoothies. He texted me a week later, "Good call, doc, the mornings feel warmer." Sensory cues help adherence, so experiment with a splash of orange or a sprig of mint. Important practical notes are to avoid high mouthwash use around that time because antibacterial mouthwashes blunt the nitrate to nitrite conversion. For men on blood pressure medication or nitrates, consult your doctor before starting regular beet supplementation. Green tea is the second morning ally. Unlike coffee, which can spike cortisol if consumed on an empty stomach, green tea brings catechins and L-theanine, which reduce oxidative stress and support endothelial health. Picture the pale green cup steaming, a faint vegetable scent rising, a slightly astringent taste that clears the palate. Multiple cohort studies link green tea intake with better vascular markers and lower cardiovascular risk. I have patients like Anthony who swapped his double espresso for a cup of sencha 3 mornings a week and noticed less afternoon crash. A practical recipe is steeping 1 heaped teaspoon in hot water for 2 to 3 minutes, not boiling, to preserve antioxidants. Add lemon to further boost nitrate to nitric oxide pathways when combined with a nitrate-containing food, and avoid adding sugar, which defeats the vascular benefit. Pomegranate juice closes the first set. Its deep crimson color and tart sweet smell are familiar in many cultures. The fruit is rich in polyphenols that protect nitric oxide from oxidative breakdown and support improved blood flow in trials that measured penile blood flow and erectile response. Use a small glass, about 100 to 150 milliliters, or dilute half and half with water if the flavor is strong. I give a short case. Tom, aged 61, reported improved morning firmness after adding a small serving of pomegranate juice 3 times a week while reducing processed carbs. The science is supportive yet not miraculous, so combine it with other habits for best results. Now for 3 more practical beverages and combinations that fit varied mornings. First, lemon water on waking. A warm glass with juice of half a lemon and a pinch of salt lowers gastric acidity mildly, provides vitamin C, which supports nitric oxide synthase activity, and helps hydrate after sleep. The sensory part matters. Warmth on your lips, the bright citrus scent, the slight puckering taste that wakes you gently. Drink it on most mornings as your first step and wait 15 to 20 minutes before coffee. Second is a deliberate coffee plus dark chocolate approach for men who do not want to give up coffee. Coffee alone in fasting conditions can spike adrenaline. If you pair a standard black coffee with a square of dark chocolate, 90%, coca, you introduce flavonols that support endothelial function without an excessive sugar load. I coached Lewis to try this, and he reported better mood and steady energy. Use small portions and avoid sugary additives. Third is a vegetable-forward smoothie that includes spinach, a small beet, half a banana, and a scoop of plain yogurt. The texture is creamy, faintly grassy, and filling. Spinach supplies nitrates, yogurt provides probiotics that support metabolism, and banana smooths the flavor. Blend with cold water or unsweetened almond milk, sip slowly, and note the cool, leafy aroma as you drink. Avoid combining this with a sugary pastry, which negates the vascular benefit. Before bed, there is a ritual I recommend to close the day that also supports circulation overnight. Golden milk, made with turmeric, has anti-inflammatory properties, and when prepared with black pepper, increases curcumin absorption dramatically. Warm a cup of unsweetened milk with half a teaspoon of turmeric, a pinch of black pepper, and a dash of cinnamon. The warmth soothes, the aroma is earthy and sweet, and the mouthfeel is comforting. A short case. Maria, the spouse of a patient, started this routine and said his sleep became steadier and he woke less tense. The anti-inflammatory effect is modest but complementary to the daytime nitrate work. Use this 2 to 3 nights a week. Now, a clear 30-day plan so you can test this without guesswork. Week 1, focus on hydration and lemon water each morning while avoiding sugary drinks. Week 2, introduce beetroot juice twice to 3 times and a cup of green tea on alternate mornings. Week 3, add pomegranate on 2 mornings and replace 1 coffee with the coffee plus dark chocolate ritual. Week 4, maintain the pattern and document changes in a short log. Morning temperature of hands and feet, energy between 9 and noon, and any changes in sexual function. The schedule is simple and fits workdays and weekends. Practical frequency I recommend is beetroot 3 times per week, green tea daily on waking if preferred, pomegranate 2 to 3 times weekly, lemon water daily, and golden milk a few evenings a week. Warnings include avoiding excessive beet intake if you have kidney stones prone to oxalates and consulting your physician if you are on nitrates or blood pressure medications. Small adjustments matter more than perfection. I want to pause and describe 2 moments of tension I see often because they determine whether men try the plan or retreat to familiar habits. The first occurs when a man feels ashamed and assumes his symptoms mean irreversible decline. He says to me, "I am done, this is just my age, and nothing will change." In that quiet, there is fear and memory, a flash of a disappointed look from a partner, the taste of defeat. I lean forward and say that assumptions can become self-fulfilling. We unpack small, reversible causes, start with a measurable swap, and watch physiology respond. The relief on a patient's face can be instant, and it is the pivot from resignation to control. The second moment shows up after a week of trying something new and not seeing immediate dramatic change. Men call and say, "This did nothing." In those calls, I remind them that vascular remodeling and inflammatory shifts take time. I ask them to check the log for small wins, like less chill in the toes or 1 better morning firmness. Reassuring that small wins predict bigger changes helps men persist and produce results. Throughout this script, I have mentioned many colleagues and patients by name because change is communal. Mark and George shared early wins. Luis and Anthony tested variations. Tom gave us a measured testimonial, and Maria helped reinforce an evening ritual. In the clinic, my nurse Maria coordinates follow-ups. Dr. Emily, a cardiologist I consult, helps interpret vascular studies, and we often cross-reference trials from Harvard and publications in hypertension and PNAS to guide advice. These names represent real people and real adjustments that created practical improvements. Before we close, a short pragmatic list of combinations to avoid. Do not drink beetroot juice with a large sugary smoothie. Avoid antibacterial mouthwash right after a nitrate drink. Do not combine high-dose nitrates with prescription nitrates for chest pain without medical advice. Avoid excessive alcohol, which disrupts endothelial function. Keep portions reasonable and stay hydrated. Now the epilogue that maps realistic outcomes in time so you know what to expect. At 1 month, you will have completed the basic swap, and you should notice modest but meaningful changes. Expect warmer mornings in hands and feet, fewer energy dips before lunch, and a slight improvement in morning genital firmness. These changes are sensory and measurable if you keep a simple log. The first month is proof of principle and will tell you if you tolerate the flavors and routine. If you have kept the beet 3 times weekly, a daily lemon ritual, and green tea, you will feel lighter and more awake. Share that early win with a partner or friend because social reinforcement helps habits hold. At 3 months, the cumulative vascular effect becomes clearer. Arteries adapt, inflammation markers tend to fall with consistent anti-inflammatory diet and sleep improvements, and nitric oxide pathways strengthen with regular dietary nitrates and flavonoids. Men I follow show better exercise tolerance, improved nocturnal erections, and more stable energy across the day. You may notice clothing fits differently around the midsection as inflammation and water retention reduce. This is the phase where habits solidify and measurable health markers like blood pressure or a simple walk test often improve. Keep in touch with your clinician to review medication interactions and update goals. At 6 months, the transformation can be meaningful and lasting. With sustained nutrition, reduced sugar, regular vegetable nitrates, prudent caffeine timing, and a supportive evening ritual, many men regain a level of vitality and confidence they feared was lost forever. Sexual function often stabilizes or improves enough to restore intimacy and self-image. Beyond sexual health, you are likely to experience better sleep, more consistent energy, and an overall sense of resilience. The combination of dietary change, better hydration, and attention to inflammation creates a foundation for healthy aging rather than slow decline. Remember that sustained change does not require perfection. It requires repeatable, manageable choices. A brief medical note to close. This content is educational and not a substitute for individualized medical advice. If you have cardiovascular disease, take nitrates, have kidney disease or other chronic conditions, consult your physician before starting dietary nitrate regimens. Monitor blood pressure and report any unusual symptoms promptly. If this video helped you, subscribe for more science-backed, practical advice for men over 50. Share your one word in the comments about your first morning drink, and write 2 lines if you try to swap. Join the community and consider trying the 30-day plan I outlined. Change your cup, change your circulation, change your day.